Now, I don't know how accurate this information is, but I've had more than one comment telling me that this episode, for the most part, is anime original, and that what we had in this episode was only a few paragraphs in the light novel. And if that's true, holy shit, this adaptation has to be one of the most incredible I've experienced. And I'm not saying just because, they follow page for page or anything like that. I'm saying how they take the ideas of the source material and create something that feels like it was actually pulled from the source material. All I have to say about this episode titled Thank You is, well, thank you for delivering that emotional closure, but screw you for ripping out my heart and stomping on it. That closing moment, I mean, when you get the credits, when you're only 15 minutes into the episode, and you have 6 minutes left before the episode wraps up, you know you're in for something emotional. There's no way around it. An episode where there's no fighting, where there's no starvation, where there's no suffering, it's just them being free. You knew it wasn't gonna be happy forever, but to see the closing montage with, I believe the bot's name was Fido, and to see how Shin came to be in its company, little Shin just carving out a name so he can remember them. Bot that basically lost everything, traveled with Shin for over 5 years, and to just see the moments that kind of really highlight what this group of 86 were to each other. We already had a season's worth of content. We know how much of person each and every one of them were, but to see it from that perspective, to have it recorded, almost documented so that they'd never be forgotten, and seeing going from, oh my god, Shin, it feels like we're brewing this romance, to then transitioning to her being super depressed. All the characters and just how they really created this family in the wake of so much disaster, to then see Fido just in a blaze before it gets exploded, most likely indicating that the group is dead, that either Legion caught up with them, something else. I mean, you can go by anime logic until you see the body, there's always a chance they come back. And in most cases, I would agree, but in this case, I don't know. I mean, Shin somehow surviving would basically be the most horrifying thing, I believe, because this is a boy who's reached his end. I think him dying probably wouldn't be anything he'd be overly depressed about. But if he had to continue on after witnessing everyone around him die, I mean, that would be very painful. Clearly next week with episode 11, as we then wait for fall for the second core, most likely will be on Lena's side. But I mean, to just see that, to just hit you. Honestly, even though it seems silly to think this in hindsight, when they started the episode off and it was just the music playing and it was just a multitude of sequences, gathering water, fishing, this and that, I was actually expecting this to be a near-silent episode with the emphasis put on music. While that may seem a little silly in hindsight given how you need that dialogue, I think it would have worked. And I mean, I would have been perfectly content if a majority of this episode would have just been watching and seeing how they were interacting with no dialogue. But with that extra added layer of them speaking, I think one of the best indicators of why it was needed was probably when Shin was sleeping. They were talking about how he's very much a different person. He's laughing, he's cracking jokes, he's actually sleeping, he seems at peace. But like Raiden says, there's a fear that there's nothing left for him to continue living on for. And, I was totally expecting him to kill himself in this episode. I'm not gonna lie. When he walked away when they were sleeping and we know something was up, I mean, yeah, maybe it's a little silly to think he was gonna end his own life, but I thought maybe it was just a peace thing for him. He was good, he didn't want to continue on. And to see that there was a legion following them for so long and it was just like them and he put it out of its misery, I mean, it's the little things that shape 86 into being such an emotional roller coaster. And really, I'm impressed that this episode exists. Even if it was pulled directly from the source material, or they made most of this up for the anime, it feels like an episode you normally wouldn't get. You don't need it in theory. You could have just left it open-ended, and if Shin or one or two of them survived, they could have reunited with Lena and they gave a quick flashback. But by really just delivering it, I feel like it's the closing moments you don't usually get to see with characters like these. And I think if there's ever been a set of characters who deserve to have closing moments, it has to be the group of 5 here. I mean, the 86 fought hell and back, and they had no real chance at a future. So to see them get lucky and stumble on a boiler so they could have a bath, getting the jokes like, if you keep talking like your little sister, they're going to treat you like a little sister. Just the back and forth, the human nature of these characters, and to see them finally act like kids. I mean, they said it best when they were walking through the town. They never would have met if it wasn't for this military, right? But in these moments, they feel like their age. They're not fighting, they're not starving, they're just kids. And even in the wake of a disastrous city, it feels like the most hope they've ever experienced. That's the type of stuff you just don't get to see, and I'm really fascinated even more so to see what episode 11 is going to look like, because logically I would say they get screwed over. I mean, there's no more 86 seemingly protecting them. Even if they have other 86, I mean, if Hsieh couldn't destroy them all, I mean, who the hell's going to be able to do it now, right? So, I mean, is it going to be an episode similar to this, but instead of hope before it all goes to shit, it's going to be chaos, them trying to punish Lena before the Legion come in and destroy their walls? And then the bigger question, what happens with the second core? Because we know it lasts past Light Novel 1. There's so much mystery to this, and there's so much intrigue, and I really feel like when we get into the second core, the world's going to open up in ways we never saw possible, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, last week, Lena really stepping forward and becoming an entirely new person after that whole snapping sequence. It's going to be interesting. I do think Lena will be the key to even having a chance at survival, but even then, she's only one person, and we've seen what one person can do, and it's not a lot. You need a whole civilization backing you if you have a shot, but I guess we'll see, right? I mentioned it, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks back, that I'm glad that we do have a 3-month gap before watching more 86, because I didn't think I'd be emotionally prepared for more. Right now, if it was a back-to-back 2-core, I could experience it. But at the same time, I still am glad we're going to have that break, because this has been a roller coaster that really gets you connected with a large group of people. You know they're all going to end up dead eventually, but you still feel like there's these unexpected twists and turns, whether it's Shin's brother, whether it's how a character goes out, whether it's the unexpected nature of someone putting herself in danger by using those mortars to help the 86, right? There's so much to this show. And it's really insane that these 10 episodes is a single light novel, yet it almost feels like we've experienced multiple light novels. It's just absolutely incredible, and I've heard good things about where it will go from here, and honestly, I'm inclined to believe it. I mean, in some ways, I would want to say, oh no, if this was originally designed to be a single light novel and they expanded it, maybe it'll feel dragged out. No, I feel like with the way the world is, you could probably have a good solid dozen light novels before you even reach a point where I might grow bored of it, so safe to say I'm pretty excited for more. I'm shocked to say it, but I honestly think this is one of the strongest 86 episodes. I mean, it's the most simple on paper, but given what we've experienced, it feels like that type of emotional closure that you don't need. But because they gave it to you, it's hard not to call 86 a masterpiece. At least that's what I'm feeling, and I guess we'll see where it goes with episode 11. It's an interesting feeling walking out of an episode of 86. Half comfy, feeling relieved that maybe even if some of these characters or all these characters ended up dead, they don't have to suffer anymore. But on the flip side, I never wanted them to die. I don't know, 86 is incredible. That's the best way to put it. Let's wrap this up. Let me know your feelings down below. Drop a like to help promote the video, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.